Are we on? Hey, Sean, can you hear me?
Yeah, you're on by yourself.
Oh, okay. Uh, I guess I'm on by myself. Okay, we've got Sean Jackson on with us today, and we're going to be talking about the Born Free Show, amongst other things. Sean is an unbelievable builder for a young guy. He's just got endless knowledge of all kinds of stuff that just blows me away. Um, and he is also one of Jody's teammates on the Antique Outlaws, and they race vintage bikes, and I think they've got a race coming up in Tennessee. I'll have to talk to Sean to see if he's going to be racing there. Um, so, Sean,
How's
you
it going?
there? How you doing?
Good to see you.
So, how's the projects coming?
Oh, they're going. It's an uphill battle, as you know. Like deadlines are creeping up pretty quick. So
Yeah, no kidding. Absolutely. So, well, so how you doing with your Born Free bike?
it's going pretty good. We're getting closer to getting ready to put the motor together for hopefully the last time. Been really kind of just grinding, getting all the parts made and stuff like that because we're pretty much building the entire engine from scratch. So it was a little bit much to bite off for the time frame we have, but it's not too bad. We're in pretty decent shape right now. I'm actually waiting on some hardware to come in right now to finish the heads and stuff up. So
Now you basically built this motor from scratch.
yeah. So myself and my buddy Kevin, who Kevin O'Neill,
Yeah, sure.
we kind of started out with a different idea. I actually bought some Rudge heads. So Rudge made race bikes back in the 20s and 30s and into the 40s. I bought a set of Rudge heads from Billy Lane back, sometime last year.
Yeah.
And when I got those heads from him, I came up with an idea. I said, hey, why don't we, instead of converting these heads to run on a JD, why don't we make our own version of those heads and kind of tweak them to our liking? So that's what we ended up doing was took the stock Rudge heads from 1928. I scanned them. We have a 3D scanner.
Yeah.
And I scanned them into our system, and then Kevin took and modified them. And what we did is we took that scan and we made a completely new model out of them. We ported them. We made them out of aluminum instead of cast iron, and completely flipped the intake port around because Rudge only had a single cylinder, and we wanted a common intake manifold like a normal bike.
Yeah.
So we did all that stuff. We mirrored the front head to the rear and made our own set of heads out of aluminum. And then obviously once we got those in, we actually use additive manufacturing to make the heads. So instead of casting them, we 3D printed them out of aluminum.
Really? I didn't
Yeah.
know you could 3D print stuff out of aluminum.
Oh yeah. We're doing quite a bit of that now. We're actually getting ready. We have our own printer coming in house here in the next couple months. So we'll be
So
actually do that
when you
stuff.
when you're doing the heads, right? So what do you start with? Is it a casting that you pour, or is it a billet, solid billet? What do you start with?
It's kind of hard to get your head around if you're not familiar with the 3D printing stuff. But the best way to explain it is it's completely additive. They call it additive manufacturing. So what we do is we take the final design, that model, in a step file. They call it. It's the final layout of however we're gonna whatever we're building. It doesn't have. It can be a
Yeah.
head. It can be literally any part in the planet. We take that and we put it into the software, and it actually takes powder. Okay, so any kind of material, the printer is capable of 45 different kinds of metal materials. So this particular item we used aluminum. So what the machine has an aluminum hopper, and it's all in a really fine powder form, and it's
Yeah.
best way to describe it is it's a dual laser format, and it uses laser sintering. So what it does is it has a powder bed, and the machine runs back and forth like you would think a printer does, just back and forth. It's
Yeah.
real slow. And it takes and it fuses that metal together as it makes its pattern back and forth. And it does it layer by layer, and different settings and different, capabilities of machines, depending on what you're going to print it with. You can print that really, really close tolerances, like within, 100 thousandths of an inch. And the technology's gotten so good now that you can print threads. You can use thread without that.
I'm kind of I'm losing your voice.
Oh, is it because of your beat? You got a backup beeper or something?
Oh, okay. So
Yes.
how's the porosity when you get it done?
There is none. It's a completely solid surface.
Yeah, really?
Yes. Yeah, there's no porosity. Actually, if you remember on my panhead that I did last year for Builtwell,
Yeah, yeah.
that aluminum intake for the dual carb setup we did, that was actually 3D printed out of aluminum. So you can use them under, normal vacuum or pressurized instances like that.
Wow, that's amazing. So I got to assume so did you do the engine cases the same way?
The engine cases, in fact, are the only thing that's stock Harley on the bike. The cases are original 1926 JD cases.
Yeah,
Uh, but that's where it ended. We just used the stock bottom cases. The cam chest, I flipped the mag to the front for the Olympic stock setup.
yeah,
That was all machined out of solid billet.
yeah,
And I actually had a friend do that. Al Hackle, he machined that out of billet for me. I just drew up like a rough sketch of what I wanted. The cylinders, we machined the cylinders out of cast iron, solid ingot of cast iron. Made those. Obviously, I had you guys nickel those for me. And then, like I said, we machined the heads and stuff in house. So after we printed them, we got them in as a solid. With our areas kind of roughed in, and
yeah,
then machined everything, put all of our valves and stuff in. It's actually got modern day valves and valve guides in them. Inconel valves and nickel bronze valve guides and seats that we machined and pressed in there. And we did all
yeah,
that here. We're putting a supercharger on the bike as well. So I have a blower on the back. It's a draw through style with a linker carburetor. And then the rest of the bike is completely fabbed here. The frame, the tanks, the handlebars, the whole front end, everything we make right here. So just
Now,
been
so are those
shooting.
heads going to be a new product for competition distributors?
I've had a few people reach out since we started the project, because I've kept it pretty thoroughly updated and showing people the process going through it.
Yeah,
So I've had a couple of guys ask about, making overhead top end kits for their JDs, because essentially you could take this kit that we're doing right now and you can build your own JD with it, an overhead valve, like an 8-valve setup. So, we're kicking around that idea. I told a couple guys that we could possibly make them for them. So I actually have another set being made right now. So it's definitely a possibility if somebody wants something.
yeah. Wow, that's incredible. So what do you use for ignition?
Just Morse Magneto.
Okay.
Stock Morse Magneto. I had him make a couple mods to it for me to fit my application, because
Yeah,
I'm terrible off the front. I have some pictures of it. I don't have them handy at the moment, but
yeah,
I
that's
have,
okay.
I have all that. We're gonna do final engine assembly down at out of my buddy Mike Silvio's place, Cycle Most
Yeah,
down there.
yeah,
I'm finishing the heads hopefully here today. I got to finish building the rocker assemblies. They're just about done. Like I said, I'm literally just waiting on some 632 screws coming in. And once those are done, I'm going to hand those off to them. We're running a T&O bottom end, True and Osborne flywheels. We made our own rods, our own connecting rods. We made them out of full titanium. And I already machined those up and sent those down to Mike so he can balance the bottom end while I finish the rest of the stuff up here. And then we're going to Ole here in the next couple of days, the Ole meet over in
yeah,
Pennsylvania here.
yeah.
be handing the heads off to Mike, and then hopefully, if all goes well, we'll be doing final assembly on the engine here in the next couple weeks. To because we're kind of running out of time. That deadline's coming up pretty
Oh, we
quick.
got plenty of time, right?
I wish it seemed we did at one time, but now it's like, oh
yeah. Well, I'm I've been thrashing on mine, and so I'm almost done with the fab. My friend Hot Rod John has got the gas tank, so he's finishing up the tank. We've got the shell all done, but it's going to be fuel injected, and so that's pretty much new to me. I've never built a bike with fuel injection before, so
I thought I'd done that before.
no, I mean I've done new bikes that came with fuel injection, but never from scratch. So it's been a learning process. And John's got the plate to mount the fuel pump and all that stuff. So he's going to do that for me. But the rest of the fab is pretty much done. A seat pan. That's the only thing left is basically the gas tank and the seat pan. And geez, I was when I was on Cycle Source the other night, Dwayne Ballard had kind of called in. And so I said, geez, Dwayne, I'd love to have one of your seats on my bike. And he said, no problem, man, send me the pan, I'll take care of you. So that's kind of cool. Dwayne's done a lot of seats for me over the years, but all bobber type hand tool stuff.
Right.
This isn't going to be a hand tool. This is going to be basically a little digger style. But I'm kind of looking forward to having Dwayne do that. But then as soon as I get the chassis back from John, with the gas tank, we got to really get hot on all the prep and get paint on it. And then once I get it painted, start putting it together. And then I got to run it down to Pennsylvania to Jeff Zielinski's. And Jeff is going to wire it all for me.
Oh, no.
He makes a custom harness with the Thundermax for this application. But, this is going to be a bare bones bike, no switches. It's only going to have an ignition switch. That's it.
Really?
And a headlight switch. That's all, but nothing on the handlebars, no gauges, nothing. And so, probably at least half of the wiring harness he's got to, get rid of.
Trash can, huh?
Yeah. So, and then once Jeff gets done wiring it, I'm going to run down to Connecticut, down to Dan Totes' place, because Dan and I have been talking for several years about building a cool exhaust system. So I'm going to bring the bike down there, and I'm going to work with Dan, and we're going to build a stainless exhaust system for it.
Oh, that's cool. Dan builds some awesome stuff too.
Yeah. I'm really looking forward to working with these guys,
Oh, yeah.
And it'll be cool.
That is cool. So when are you trying to shoot to have it done by?
By Born Free.
Yeah, right at the last.
Yeah.
Like,
I mean, I'm sure the trailer will be with the door open, waiting to load it when we're putting gas in it. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I know. Every year I try to avoid that. I'm like, man, this year I'm going to be ahead of it. And it's like, I don't know what it is, DP. It just never works out that way. So
no, it definitely doesn't. You just got to roll with it because it's going to be that way.
Yeah.
If the event came a week later, it wouldn't matter. You'd still be under the same time frame.
Yeah, I know. It's almost like we're wired to wait right to.
Right, exactly. But so I'm looking forward to having the bike at Born Free, and then this is the bike I'm gonna take to Sturgis. I'm gonna ride. This is gonna be my ride in Sturgis.
Oh, cool! Really cool.
Yeah.
So you're gonna hang a little bit then and do some riding on it, get some miles on it.
Yeah, I can get it all dialed in, between Born Free and Sturgis, and
right.
So we'll be looking good. But the main thing too is, this bike build, I have really concentrated on making it roadworthy and somewhat comfortable.
Right.
I've got really good suspension. Brock hooked me up with his Batubo front and his Batubo rears. You know, I usually use Russ Wernemont shocks, but I don't want piggyback shocks, and the shocks that I'm using are shorter. Plus, they come chromed already.
Okay.
So,
Yeah, I had Bitubos on one of my FXRs, and
yeah,
I love. They're
yeah,
great box.
yeah. And then you know, of course, the wheels I'm using carbon fiber wheels from Brock. And you know, I've done lots of projects with him, and he's a great guy. You know, his wheels are you know, awesome. And I'm gonna paint them the carbon fiber, but I'm gonna put candy over them so they kind of match the bike. And then Lindell, Paul at Lindell is been really good. So I've got all his fancy rotors
Oh,
and
cool.
and MJK calipers. They're monstrous calipers.
So
But
this this
yeah,
gonna be a team then.
yeah, yeah. So yeah, we're looking pretty good. I don't have too much more as far as parts to get. Um, you know, doing the setup with all the electronics and everything was a workout. You know, trying to hide, you know, the Thunder Max, the coil, the relays, the fuse panel. You know, I've got all of that stuff underneath the right side cover, so it's plenty accessible. That's the thing. I wanted to make sure everything was fully accessible. You know, there's so many custom bikes, you know, that I've built in the past, but a lot of other people that, man, you know, you can't service them out on the road. Something happens, man. You got to take half the bike apart to get at everything, you know?
Yeah, like last thing, you don't really focus on working on the bike. You just focus on aesthetics. That's the hardest part of building the bike is trying to make it serviceable and still look somewhat
Right.
decent. So.
Right. Yeah. Hey, so can we see some pictures of yours?
Yeah. Let me. I'll take you out in the shop here. Let me flip my camera. Oh, sorry about that. Let me see. I can't remember how to flip my camera on here.
Okay.
I'll flip you around.
Okay, just to answer a couple of questions. Moonshiner Chuck, Crazy Chuck, Born Free is in California. That's where Sean and I are going. And as far as exhaust, no, I don't think we're doing a 2-into-1. We're going to do duals because this bike is going to resemble an old school digger that I built. I built a lot of these back in the late 80s, early 90s. Gabe is on. Hey, Gabe. And Mark Hendricks, Mel Hoffman, Wenton. How you doing, Wenton? Milt Wheeler, Willis Gilio, Brad Kirkpatrick. Let's see. So what kind of replacement for chopper history I've been missing? Well, this is kind of going to be a kind of a chopper history show, but we're talking about everything that's going on today too. Jay Horton, Matt Smith. Hey, Matt. Denia Woods, Jeremiah Costa, Michael Woodchuck. Hey, Woody. Matt French. Okay, so what do we got here? Wow.
Yeah, so these are the heads. Can you guys see them okay?
Yeah, perfect.
All right, cool. These are the ones we've been working on. This has been pretty much, I'd say, oh man, probably 70-80% of the build, other than the frame itself. But it's been a lot of work on these just to get them set up right. But this is all, so like I said, they're modeled off of a Rudge setup, but they're completely custom. You can see we put our Comp D name in there. I'm finishing top ends right now. These are so it's an 8-valve setup. So 2 intake valves, 2 exhaust valves, and you got a front and rear head. And I'll flip them here. They're still not completely. You can see our valve setup here.
Yeah.
These are our Inconel valves, our nickel bronze valve seats we put in. We put nice time inserts in for our threads.
Yeah.
Adjustable. These are the valves themselves are from these are like Honda valves that we just sized to get the correct sizing to what we needed. And these are actual like Yamaha valve train adjustments. So we'll be able to adjust our valve lash up here on the top end. And I'm finishing that up right now. We got custom little aluminum Keystone 8 logos. These are going to be my rocker shaft caps that I'm making right now. I'll bring you over here. This is some more stuff. These are the push rods I just finished making up. They're offset bend push rods.
Wow.
And we did these to correct the push rod geometry because they're offset from the stock JD bottom end. And they have a flat on the back here. And then you can see on the back side of this rocker, there's a flat holder. And that'll keep it from spinning so you can actually use the offset. So that's just more stuff we've been working on.
Now, tell me about the push rods. What are they made out of?
These are made out of a hardened stainless material. And then the balls on the end are they're a hardened alloy that I put on.
Yeah. And
we got 2 intake, 2 exhaust.
Now, are they solid or tubular?
Oh, they're tubes.
Okay.
Actual tubes. Yep. The bottoms I can't finish until I have the motor assembled to know the correct length.
Yeah.
This is just a mock-up case. The cases for the actual motor are down in Tennessee with Mike right now.
Yeah.
But this is just a mock-up case. Those are the heads or the cylinders I had you guys nickel for me.
Yeah.
We're gonna hone those out. These are copper gaskets we just made. You can kind of see it's my blower sitting in there. The supercharger is gonna mount back here.
Now, what did that blower come off of?
This is actually this is a Japanese blower off of a Subaru.
Okay.
Just a Subaru car. I took and I cleaned it up pretty good and made it look nice. I was gonna use my buddy Aaron gave me a BF 109 supercharger from an aircraft that I wanted to use, but it's too big. I can't fit it in this particular application, so I'm gonna have to use it for something else.
Okay.
But
the next project.
Yeah, for the next one. But the supercharger is going to mount pretty much where you see it here. I have to make the bracket for it yet, but carburetor is going to come off here in front of this rear wheel. And as you can see, I got a single-sided hardtail set up on this bike, so I won't have anything on this end. We made the wheel hubs. We machined these out of aluminum. This is a hollow ground 4140 rear axle. The whole frame made here in-house. It's a super heavy-duty setup on the rear, heavy spindle setup, so that you don't have to worry about any kind of flex or anything like that. I fabbed these tanks up from scratch. Made these. These were these were my second set. The first set I didn't like how they turned out, so I made another set.
Nice. Real nice. Now, the rear section of your frame, what is that? Tell me about the tubing.
So the tubing is a 1/4-inch wall. 1-inch tube.
Okay.
So extremely heavy. It's bent out of one piece, so there's not multiple different bend setups in there. It was a real pain to bend because it was so heavy. And then the rear plate, it's a 1/2-inch thick plate, and then it's a 3/4-inch hollow ground axle that I made, and it has spacers that run all the way through. So when you torque this nut down, it's got tapered Timken bearings that I put in there.
Yeah.
When you torque this nut down, it takes the load and puts the load all the way through onto your plate, so it transfers the weight from the end of the shaft into the plate onto the side of the chassis. So it's not a real heavy bike anyway. So shouldn't have any problems with any kind of deflection or anything. And Kevin ran some FEA tests when we were doing all that, so it looks like it just looks cool because it's just kind of floating out there. But we made the front and rear hubs, like I said, and I had Buchanan polish my spokes for me, and then we laced them up to 28-inch clinchers. Yeah. And I wanted to run the clinchers on this because I wanted a tall tire look, And I just think it fits this real well. But the front end I completely built here as well. These rear legs. I cast these out of 8620 alloy steel, because they're oval shape.
Yeah.
And then all these cast pieces in here, these are all cast. I poured wax molds from a wood pattern, and then sent them out, had them cast at the foundry, and then I machined them here, the axle plates, all that good stuff. So this whole thing is, pretty much built right here. That was like the biggest goal with this bike, is to try to do as much physically as we could in house. So
Yeah. Well, you sure have. That's for sure.
yeah, it was like I said, it was a bit to chew, but we're getting there. It's slowly taking shape. But as you can see, it's kind of a board track setup. I wanted to keep it true to what we're doing, is the racer stuff and all that. So
Yeah. Yeah. Now that is that mild steel, the back end?
yeah, mild steel.
The bike, my Born Free bike is it's an old Ness rubber mount frame, and it's 7/8 tubing with 1/4-inch wall. So it's
Okay.
it's heavy shit. Yeah.
Yeah, you understand how heavy that stuff is. Then it's
Oh yeah, absolutely.
this here. We were talking about your seat pan. I'm actually working on that right now. I'm making my brackets that come down to the frame. This is where my racer seat will sit.
Yeah.
And I made this hand pump. So I made it a clear sight glass hand pump, kind of like a flying Merkle.
Yeah.
I wanted to mount it up here on the tank. So when you draw your oil out, it's a total loss system. The motor's 1920s.
Yeah.
So this is how you're going to fill your cases. You'll actually be able to see what kind of oil you're drawing into your cases there. But that's how she sits. Doesn't look like much yet, but hopefully here in the next few weeks we'll make some progress.
Well, it sure looks like you're getting close.
Trying.
You're close.
Yeah, trying. Like I said, these things here have been the biggest time consumer more than anything, is trying to get these done. But
Yeah, boy, those heads. How the heck did you ever find, like the Yamaha adjusters and the Honda valves? How'd you come up with that stuff?
so what we do is, like, you kind of just you check sizes. So I just started measuring stuff, and then Kevin and I are constantly bouncing ideas off each other. So what we did is, I had the stock Rudge heads, and I saw the valves that they had. So I just tried to size them as closely as I could to that,
Yeah.
And they're all, everything on there is kibble white.
Nice.
Yeah, so it's all really good stuff.
Yeah. Well, shit, that's great. So what about paint? What are you going to do for paint?
Oh, Dan, Jody asked me this question the other day, and I started laughing because last time you guys asked me about paint, you guys yelled at me. So I'm actually don't hate on this, but I'm actually going to go black with this bike, because I kind of have a vision for it, and it's, with the tall white tires and the way the bike's set up, I'm finishing up some of my last pieces right now to send up to you guys to have it nickeled.
Yeah.
So my vision with the whole bike is the tall white tires, the nickel on the motor, the nickel components, like just a few odds and ends here and there. But I want it like a real deep black, buried in clear, like a real shiny clear, and then gold leaf.
Oh yeah.
Because I called the bike, we named the bike the Pennsylvania 8, since it's valve and it's fully built here. So
right.
I just thought it would look really kind of classy and kind of pay homage to that old board track racer look.
Sure. No, I can agree with that.
So, but yeah, that's the plan. And obviously Kevin's brother, Brian, who he's going to lay down the artwork and stuff for me. So
yeah, nice. Well, shit, I'll be looking forward to it. Well, I'm looking forward to Born Free. We'll be hanging and, having fun out there.
Yeah, it's always a great time. My first one was last year with you guys. We were all out there together.
Right. Yeah.
Built well. I'm actually really looking forward to this year, because we don't have like the time. We don't have the time constraints that we did last year, as far as like, having to be at the Built Well show, and then we're getting transferred over to Born Free.
Right.
Like, we get to just drop the bikes off there and kind of just hang out the rest of the time, Right.
So, yeah, exactly.
It'll be a good time, and I'm really looking forward to seeing everybody and kind of getting out of the shop. I've been locked down in here for the last few months. Just kind
Well,
of
I can certainly see that, man.
right.
I mean, the work you did on that's just incredible, especially how you can do it all in house.
Yeah,
Oh,
it's like one of those things, you know. I really admire the old time guys, and like even like the guys that came before us, and the way they used to do things. And I obviously, with competition, everything we do is historical as far as the bikes we work on and everything.
yeah,
So I always dig really deep into the history of motorcycles and where it started, and the original race guys and the performance guys and that kind of thing. And it's like you read these stories, you know, these guys would be out racing, board track racing or whatever, hill climbing, and they would go and they would perform, and either the bike would work or it wouldn't. And the a lot of times the racers were engineers for that motor company in particular, and they'd
yeah,
come, hey guys, this isn't working, we're going to start over. And they just completely recast and re-pour a whole new engine case or cylinder and just completely change everything and just start again, you know. And it's like it just kind of gives me inspiration to try to do it the way they did, you know. And obviously we're
yeah,
using some modern technology blended with old stuff, but
right.
uh it's just fun to do. I get into it. So
Yeah. Well, is this bike going to go in Tom's museum when you're done?
I don't know. We've been talking about it. So the panhead ended up down there because I'm out of space up here in my garage. So
I'll bet.
Tom took it on down to the black hole there, and he's been storing it for me for the last few months. But uh, this one here, we're probably going to take around with us for a while.
Yeah,
Going to start doing more AMCA events like swap meets and stuff like
yeah,
that.
yeah,
So it'll probably be our display bike for a while.
yeah,
Um, I'm going to run it at Sons of Speed as in like an exhibition class
yeah,
October. And then we're building a Henderson. That's actually the bike I got to build next as soon as this one's done. We're doing a 1919 Henderson for Sons of Speed. So we'll have a couple of those for display. So I imagine it just kind of go on tour with us for a little while.
yeah. Well, that's good. Well, that's
Yeah.
good. Well, listen, I won't take up much more of your time. This was pretty informative, I'll tell you. I had a lot of questions, as you've been building this, and you've answered most everything. And
Good.
again, Sean, man, I got to admire the talent that you have to come up with all that stuff and be able to figure out how to build all those pieces and make them work. That's the thing.
Well, I appreciate it, DP, especially coming from you. I've obviously, you're one of the guys I've always looked up to ever since I was a little kid. So I'm just happy to be able to do this kind of stuff, you know. So it's always a privilege, and I'm really looking forward to working with you guys out there and getting out to Born Free and seeing everybody and all that good stuff. So.
Oh yeah, and Competition Distributors is doing well. You're coming up with new products, and I'm sure Tom's pretty proud.
Yeah, we're staying at it. You know, it's not an easy game to be in for sure, especially in the old stuff, because you
Right.
gotta. There's not really a ton of it out there, but we're just trying to make it available to everybody and do what we can. So
Yeah. Well, you're doing a great job.
thanks, man. I appreciate that.
So, all right. Well, listen, I will talk to you soon, and we'll stay in touch.
Okay, sounds good, DP. See you later.
Okay. See you, Sean.
Bye.
Okay, that was Sean Jackson. Extremely talented young guy. It's just amazing how he comes up with all that stuff, but he makes it work. And so, on another note, today is Woody's birthday. Happy birthday, Woody! And May 19th. May 19th, Fuel Up Meetup, Bikes, Cars, and Coffee. Sunday, May 19th at Motion Concepts over in Taunton on Route 44. So we're going to go over there in the morning. I think it's from 8 to 11, if I'm not mistaken. Yep, 8 to 11. So if you want to go out for a quick ride on Sunday morning, meet us up over there. We'll be over there. We'll have a bunch of cool bikes, and hopefully we'll go for a nice ride. And let's see, what else? We got any more questions? I'm sure we do. Okay, Mad Monkey. This is the Indian race bike in the Bagger series, and Max Flanders is riding it, and we painted it. And between us and the Hamsters, we're sponsoring the paint on it. And they're trying to keep it in one piece, which he's done really well. And they placed third in this last race this past weekend in Atlanta. The top three finishes were Indians, and Max came in third, and they're the only privateer out there racing. So they beat the factory Holly team, and they're right up in there with the factory Indian team. So check that out. Let's see, what else? Do we have any more questions that we need to answer? Stay tuned. Each week we'll be doing a show. Next week we're going to have Max Flanders on, who's the driver or the rider for that race team, and he's a professional rider, and he can give you all the info next week when we interview him. And we're working on a lot of cool stuff here. If anybody has any paintwork they need done, any flame jobs, send them over. So it's been a good show. So we'll just see you next week.